These are the top 5 worst rock and metal albums I have ever heard.
What's up, guys? Merry frickin' Christmas. How you doing? Today, I'm back. Where was I? Well, frankly, I was sick. And also I was prepping to get married early next month. So I haven't had much to do. I figured I'd go ahead and make another video. And today it's going to be on the 5 worst metal albums, rock and metal albums, I should add, I've ever heard. So here we go. Let's get into it. Number 5. So coming off at number 5, we have basically anything from the group Psycho Sinner. Just in case you don't know who Psycho Sinner is, consider yourself lucky, because a lot of us had to go through that. But Psycho Sinner was the brainchild of ex-Five Finger Death Punch drummer Jeremy Spencer. And his idea was to sort of create like this shock rock, I guess from his own words, if I can sum it up, kind of in the style of like, say, Rob Zombie or Marilyn Manson. Kind of give rock that super villain quality of it. I don't know. And I don't know what was going through his mind at this point. But yeah, back in 2018, we were greeted with what was the first iteration of the group, which was deemed as psychosexual. He had adopted this Mephistopheles, if I'm even saying that word right, style of devil, and he'd get on stage and oh jeez, it was cringy to say the least. His lyrics would range anywhere from talking about necrophilia, stalking, stuff that people do to other people, if you catch what I'm talking about. It wasn't well received, and I think he knew that, or I want to say I guess he did, but he went on to change the name of the group again to Psycho Sinner, spelled with a Y, and then simultaneously release 9 albums at the same time, which really was overkill. But you know, as he claims, when you have nothing to do during quarantine, and you just have a bunch of stuff that you've put out, or that you've written down and performed and recorded, why not, I guess? You know, hey, you gotta cash some Five Finger Death Punch checks in there somewhere. But yeah, again, the lyrics were nothing special. The vocal quality was piss poor, if anything. Think of it as a like typo negative from Temu, if that makes sense. That's the best way I can describe it. The music was generic, and it was like all the worst qualities of, like, say, like Five Finger Death Punch days. It was basically that, and there's really nothing more else I can say about these albums. He went on to release 2 more at the same time again, and after that, I guess it didn't do as well as he hoped it would, because he went to go and create a death metal band called Semi Rotted, which again, while slightly better, by like a marginally better, it's just the group. He did everything he could basically to try and delete the group anywhere from his existence. I'm pretty sure if you were to search up some of the songs on YouTube, you would find them. I don't recommend it unless you just want to give yourself permanent brain damage. Just do yourself a favor and skip this one, or skip listening to any of their songs. It's not worth it, trust me. So now we're done with that. Let's head on to number 4.
Number 4.
Alright, so coming in at number 4, we have Skillet's Dominion. I don't know what happened to these guys. If you've seen my previous Skillet video on their album Revolution, you'll know my feelings towards this band. But in case you haven't, I grew up listening to Skillet. One of my first albums ever, and that I, if I'm honest, I still kind of like. Rise. When you grew up in the kind of household that I did, and your only options are maybe like Creed and Skillet, you kind of have a special attachment. So, I'll give you a little history with me and Skillet. I started listening to them years ago when I was a teenager, and it appealed to the edgy, sort of evangelical Christian in me, and I liked the album Awake. Of course, I got Rise when I was all the way at one of the Fuge Bible camps. And then 2016, I got Unleashed, and I was good. I was happy. And by about that time, I was wanting to get into harder, more edgier metal, and so Skillet just kind of took a back seat until I kind of just forgot about them. Like I think I skimmed through Victorious, but I didn't really care for it either. And I think they released another one. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. But when Dominion came out, Skillet was already going through some problems with the media. John Cooper was becoming more of a... he was making more of his political opinions known, shall we say. Diving headfirst into Christian nationalism, and just, like I mentioned before in my previous Skillet video, just giving his outdated ideals, and it kind of reflected in this album. Dominion was, I guess, in a way, his political statement, and it just really, it felt kind of lazy. I really don't know what to say about this album. It was that bad. With past Skillet albums, they would save the best song that they would have towards the end of the album, which they didn't do here. They went ahead and did it for number 3. I think the third title track, or the third track album, whatever you want to call it. I'm scatterbrained. I'm not 100% yet. And then they did sort of this Imagine Dragons, I guess, rip-off, if you want to call it that. Towards the end, sort of this rap, chant hybrid thing. I don't know what you want, whatever you want to call it, whatever works for you. Lyrics ranged, like I mentioned before, anywhere from I stand for goodness. We're fighting against the darkness, and nobody can stand up against me. And it's who are you talking about? What darkness? Political darkness? Spiritual darkness? It was hitting a lot of the same check boxes that they've always been doing. And really, instead of progressing, it seemed like they regressed. And it seemed to me, honestly, when I first heard the first single, I think it was Surviving the Game, when it came back out in 2020, I was maybe they got something, because it sounded interesting. But then, of course, it just went off with the cliched stadium rock, which I think was their main problem, because thanks to Unleashed, which was mainly their what do you want to call it, their stadium rock album. That's pretty much all they did from Unleashed till about now. Their last record didn't have a lot of that, thankfully, but still, they never seemed to go anywhere more than stadium rock. And, frankly, as a person who used to like Skillet and knows what this band is capable of, say for their albums Collide and Comatose, I know what this band is capable of. It's just them not wanting to put anything towards, go anywhere with that. And so, yeah, it was a big disappointment. And I think what really gives it the spot in this top 5 worst list, besides the oversaturation of his political ideals in this whole album, was the fact that he made it seem like the COVID-19 pandemic it only affected him. And there's an entire song where he's practically whining about it. So, just because of that one song alone, it just killed the mood for the entire album. Usually when I listen to stuff, I don't go in with the attitude of, man, I'm going to hate this. I usually try to find stuff I want to like. I couldn't find anything in there. And like I said, the track that and made it seem like it was all about him. Like he was the only one he had lost stuff. It just killed it for me. Not to mention that his podcast, which I was kind of listening to, it just made things a whole lot worse. So, yeah, this deserves a spot on the top 5 worst list, at least for me, anyways. If you like the album, good for you, but I don't, and I'm probably never gonna listen to it ever again. So, with that, let's go ahead and get on to number 3. Number 3. Alright, so coming in at number 3, we have Five Finger Death Punch. Always surprised. But no, it's their album, And Justice for None. I believe it's their 7th album. So the story behind this one is that Death Punch was going through some legal issues with their previous record label. Something about the band was wanting to put it out, and the label was like, no, we can't, it's too early, you can't, no, don't, or something like that. I don't know. Stories on the internet, as always, go look it up if you want to know more about it. But yeah, I don't know what was going through Death Punch Camp's mind when they released this, but after listening to it, yeah, I can see why the label wanted to delay it or didn't want them to release it. It's bad. And even as a Death Punch fan back then, I didn't like this album. It was lazy, to name one thing. Nobody sounded like they even cared. This felt more like it was a chore for them to do. It wasn't something that they wanted to do out of just for the passion of making music or for making another album. This just sounds like, I was like, oh, well, we gotta make another one. Let's check this one off. Send it all out. Package it up. Get rid of it. Ivan Moody, of course. This was the first record that Ivan did sober. So the product that we got was coming from a sober mind. And of course, lyrically, it doesn't help. Lyrics talking about how he's this damaged individual, but also was wanting love and, you know, people not to leave him at the same time. So, you know, standard Death Punch stuff lyrically was nothing exciting. Jeremy Spencer, who was their drummer at the time, just, again, it sounded like he could not care. If you go back and listen to their song Fake, you can definitely hear it. Just this 1-2 bop 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 bop. It's not worth it. The album is it's bad. That's all I can say, really. It's bad. Again, maybe I should just go ahead and go on so that way I'm not stumbling and ranting. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I'll talk more about this in another video. In fact, that's one thing I plan to do. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know. I plan on making a full discography list reviewing, you know, each and every Death Punch album, because Death Punch was a group that I found solace with when I was younger, especially through my angsty teenage years. So I plan on doing something with that. So I'll go more into depth of that album when I do that video. But for now, let's go ahead and go on to number 2.
Number 2.
Hi, kids. Have you ever wanted to listen to an album of Gollum from Lord of the Rings trying to shove a stick up his butt? No? Well, too bad. 6 Feet Under. Chris Barnes, you never cease to disappoint. Actually, yeah, you do. So, 6 Feet Under released an album called Nightmares of the Decomposed, and boy, was it a nightmare. Everything from production to vocal work. I don't know what was going on in the studio. Chris Barnes doesn't even sound like he was in the studio at the same time, maybe. Songs are horribly produced, sung horribly. Those of you who know Chris Barnes, especially during his 6 Feet Under days, with each album release, it sounds more and more ear grating. Yeah, I don't it just. I feel sorry for those who had to review this album back when it was released. I think it was back in 2020 when this was released. This album just, it's one of those, it's really a mystery why something like this was heard back in the studio, and as it was being put together, they went, yeah, this will work, let's sell it. Let's put it out there for the public to consume. Why did you do that in the first place? What was your thought process, man? It just baffles me an album this bad was released in the state that it was in. And that's considering we still have yet the number one spot. But yeah, as I mentioned before, it vocally it sounds like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, or Smeagol, whatever you want to put him as. Don't murder me, Lord of the Rings fans. It genuinely sounds like Gollum trying to shove a stick up his butt, or maybe an Ewok that's constipated. I don't. Oh, it baffles me. The song, The Noose, or just Noose, or whatever it is. This must have been one of those things where Chris Barnes was in the studio recording, and he looks up from the mic and goes, "Was that good, guys?" And they go, "Yeah. Let's never hire this guy again." I don't know. And Nightmares of the Decomposed, unless you want to hear audible, like ear torture, go ahead and listen to it. It's you're in for a good time. You might get a good laugh out of it if you're under the influence of certain things, certain substances. But casual listening, no, you're going to be asking yourself, why did I pick this up? Why did I play this? Yeah, let's move on to number one while we're still fine, while we're still able to think coherently. So, moving on. Number one. We are finally at number one. Believe it or not, there is an album worse than Psycho Sinner. Stupid why. There is an album worse than Skillet's Dominion. There is an album worse than Five Finger Death Punch's On Justice for None. There is an album, yes, believe it or not, worse than Nightmares of the Decomposed. Ladies and gentlemen, at number one we have Dungeon Wolf, the White Elf. Think if Iron Maiden and Wesley Willis, I think is the guy's name, Rock and Roll McDonald's, ring a bell? Anybody? Think if those two got together and they had a horrible, mangled love child that was just continuously dropped on its smashed in little head, and then left alone to sit in its crappy little Pampers for about 3 weeks before it was picked up and casually just tossed out the window. You have Dungeon Wolf. If you haven't heard of this band, great on you. I promise you are not missing anything. The only reason why I know this band is because of another metal critic / reviewer on YouTube, the Metal Meltdown. He was constantly harassed by this group to review this album in particular, and he reluctantly agreed to do it. And yeah, he suffered, as did I. Originally, I wasn't even going to listen to it. I just took his word for it. I went on to YouTube. I searched them up, and I'm sorry that I did. I'm still in therapy for that. So thanks, Dungeon Wolf. Appreciate it. Nothing on this album is coherent. The vocal work is pathetic. The instruments are pathetic. This entire the album artwork, as you saw, is pathetic. It looks like it was done on Photoshop. The music itself sounds like it was recorded on a little Tykes recorder. This album is just genuinely bad. In fact, it's so bad now, I think they realize that, because I have searched many times trying to find music just so that way I can get an idea of what it was, because my subconscious has just blocked it out entirely. I can't find it anywhere, not on Spotify, not on YouTube. It is on Bandcamp, but I am not going there. I don't even feel like going there to listen to their stuff. I just no. But yeah, I can't find this album anywhere. Even if it is on Bandcamp, to be honest though, I haven't even looked, so I don't even know if it's on there. I know their other album is, and that's the only one I can find. It's bad. Trust me. Wesley Willis did better. And that's saying something. It's not even enjoyable. Like, it's not even a good kind of bad, like Psycho Center might have been. Which, if you found enjoyment in that group, something's wrong with you. Get your head checked. But I don't even know how this band has any kind of fame. You know what? I take that back. Their fame is just, I don't even know if they have fame. See, that's the thing. This band has messed me up a lot. I don't know what else to say. This, everything from the album artwork, vocal work, instrumentals, nothing is in time, nothing is in tune. It's all around bad. It's a horrible listening experience. If you go and listen to it and you are able to get through it and think, wow, this was really enjoyable, then good on you. Unfortunately, you'll be doing that alone. Because, yeah, no, I'm not listening to another thing this band puts out, if they even put anything out. So, yeah, I'd have a better time than listening to one of my drunk relatives try to sing karaoke. So, with that is my list for the top 5 worst rock and metal albums I have ever heard. This is not an all-time list, so this is just stuff that I've personally heard. If you've got something better, let me know. Write it down in the comments. And tell me what you would pick to be the top 5 worst metal and rock albums you've ever heard. That does it for me. I'm gonna end it here. So, because it is the holidays, I've got a family I gotta spend time with. I hope it's a good one. I'm probably not going to release another video until like the mid-January. Paleface Swiss has an album that's coming out on the day that I'm getting married. Funny enough. So, but I'm probably not going to do it until like the mid-January. Just because I've got my wedding coming up. I'm going to be a married man the next time you see me. And, yeah, so that's what's looking like right now. And then maybe towards the end of January, I will do the Five Finger Death Punch discography list ranking thing, or whatever. Not going to be as sophisticated, but it's something I'm going to do. So that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So until then, I wish you guys a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you want to celebrate. And take care. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Get on out of here. Click off. I've ran in too much. All right, bye guys.